Welcome to day 4 of our Python programming, and in day 4 we are going to learn logical operators. And we know in logical operators we use to combine a conditional statement. That is, we use logical operators in order to evaluate a given expression. If the condition satisfied, it's going to return a Boolean value, which is true or false. And we already know in our day 3 we have learned how to use comparative operators, where we use equality sign, not equality sign, not less than sign, greater than sign, less than or equals to, greater than or equals to. So here, as I mentioned earlier, in logical operators we have three basic operators, which is and, or, and not. And this thing we know, they are in form of logic gates, but we know at the beginning of this Python programming class, we said Python programming is a more of like English statement. Hence, we are going to be using a normal AND of AND, not ampersand as we use in C++, C, and Java. And also for O, we are just going to use OR. For the what not, we are going to use NOT. So let's not waste our time. Let's just dive into what the practical fully. So we are going to create. We know in dealing or in conditional statement, even though I did not discuss conditional statement in Python, we are going to do that later in these classes. So here, I'm just going to recap our logic conditional statement as we discussed in Java programming. We know a given statement is usually enclosed within a given parentheses, or we say it open and close bracket. And in doing that, we are going to have a certain variable so that we can see how these operators work. One, we have A. In A, we are going to assign a value of certainly we are going to write 3, and we have B, we are going to write 5, and then in number variable 3 we are going to have C, which is going to be 10. So here we are going to have a printing statement, that is to exhibit our logical operators. We have print, open and close bracket. We are just going to perform a single logical operations, which in form of what? And which is in form of just greater than sign. If we have A greater than B, so this is just like if you are trying to pass a statement to check whether A is greater than B or A is not greater than B. And we know that from the definition of a logical operation, we said is going to is going to combine a conditional statement to evaluate the expression. If the expression satisfies the condition, it means it's going to return the value or Boolean value, that's true or false. So certainly we know from this expression, we know A is not greater than B because A is 3 and B is 5. So hence it's going to return false. But let's try to run this and see the output. And we see from the output console we have false, right? So you see now, this is how you use this statement. And if in the case of you have A, let's say B is greater than A, because B is already 5 and A is 3, and this condition is true, and we said let's have another condition where we have again B is less than 10. So let's try to run this. So we see now this return the value of what? Of true, because we have this logical expression. So that's how we use this ampersand or and operation in logic in order to determine or to obtain a Boolean expression. So if we have again, we want to have another statement still in what? In using and, we have print. This time around we are going to what? We are going to make it a little bit more complex, where we said A is greater, let's say we said A is greater than 2, isn't it? A is greater than 2. So, and then X again, oh sorry, A again is equals to what? A is greater than this, then A is equals to 10. So what do you expect to get here? So it's going to return the value of false because this condition now is false. A is not equals to what? 10. But if in the case of A is equals to 3, so it's going to return the value of true. And the same thing, if A is less than B, is less than B, still is going to return the value of what? Of true. Also, if we said A is greater than 50, is greater than B, let's just leave it as B, is going to return the value of false. So that's how you are going to use this AND operation. So let's quickly move into what? The OR operation and see how it works. And let's say we want to print, this time around, we want to print if, let's try to use the little bit fundamental. If we said A is less than 2, isn't it? Then we have O, A is greater than, into bracket or parentheses, A is greater than B, or B, or is it, sorry, A is greater than B. Print A is less than this or this. So it's going to return the value of, in this case, it's going to return the value of false because though we have A is less than 2 already. Sorry, it's going to return the value of false because we have here A is less than 2 already, or B is greater than this. So both the condition is false. So there is no need. But if we said A is greater than 2, and then it's going to return the value of true. Because if you remember, if you are dealing with your OR gate, if you have 1 or 0, it's going to return positive, right? Because that is 1. Because one of the condition is true. So once one of the condition is true, whenever you run that very logic operators, is going to return the value of true. So that is this. So let's make it a little bit more complex here. If we have print, we have something similar to this, please. Let's just go here and copy something like this, and then we overwrite this and paste. So we change this to O, and then let's try to see how it goes. So because one of the conditions here is true, A is greater than 2. Are we together? So if here A is greater than 10, or A is greater than B, so it's going to be false because both the conditions are what? Are false. So, but if you say B is greater than A, you see one of the conditions still is true, so it's going to return true value of this combinational statement. So we are going to look at the NOT, and in NOT operators is always going to give you a reverse of what you have inserted there. Let's say, for instance, we have print. We know we are going to print A. So if A is greater than 2, so this statement now, we know definitely is going to be what? The last statement. Let's try to what? Comment this. We comment all these statements and left with this. So let's try to run this. It's going to be positive. That's true, right? It's true. So now the inverse of this is going to be the NOT of A greater than B. And we know in our NOT, A greater than B is always going to give us false because A greater than B is already true. So here we are going to have additional close, open and close bracket. Are we together? So because this is not greater than this is true, so it's going to be what? False noun. But if now this is greater than 7, or A is greater than B, we know this is going to be what? If only this. If only A is greater than B, we know it's false, right? So, but if we include not here, it's going to be true. Let's try to run this and see the impact. So you see now, this is true. So this is how you go about your logic operators. Before we end this class, let's try to have a real world example where we can have, let's try to comment this as usual. So if now we have username is equals to, let's try to have username is equals to, let's say admin, Then we have why this. Then we have password. I'm going to try to though with a kind of a little bit rush, but I just want to give you a real world example of how these our logic operators work using our if statement before we now come to deal with conditional statement. Though we know if statement is under conditional statement, but just bear with me. Let me just quickly introduce it here, chip it here, so that we will know how it works. So password is equals to, let's say it 1, 2, 3, or let's say password is equals to password. Password is equals to password. So here we are going to have if condition, or we can just have it like this. If our username is equals to admin, are we together? And password is equals to we have password, isn't it? If this, so we will have a column here is different with what we are having in Python. So here is going to print a statement called print, sorry, there is nothing like this, print open and close brackets access granted. So else is going to what? Is going to give us print access denied, is going to give us access denied here. Are we together? So here we are going to have a kind of error. Let's try to run it here because it already shows that there is an error. So we know in our assignment operators, we know we deal with the comparative operators. So we are trying to compare this variable or the value contained in this variable, whether it's true or is equals to or not. So we are going to have double equality sign, please. So that is why we are having that error. So we are dealing with that error now. You see, we don't have any red area showing. So let's try to run it. You see now, we have access granted. So if again, we try to, this our password is small letters. We use while we are assigning our variable. If we use P as capital and we run it, it's going to give us access denied. You see, so this is a typical real world scenario where you can be able to adopt your logical operators in Python. Be on this platform so that we can learn more. If you enjoyed this class, don't forget to share our resources, like and comment. Thank you for being with us. Remain blessed.